Okay. Hello, it's Birdy again. This is for Valentine's. This story, I'm about 20 years old. I'm going to do a reading at a parlor, a dance parlor. This girl, she requested me. And so I get there, I meet her. She's about 19 years old. I'm about 20. And I start the reading. Now, the reading's pretty long. When I first started doing palmistry, I did it really, really fast. So I'm just going to go to the key points of the reading. So I told her that she's going to meet someone on Valentine's Day. And at the time I met her, it was about 10 days to Valentine's Day. And she would meet the person she's going to get married to. And they're going to have 3 kids, a boy and 2 girls. He's a construction worker. He right now is not working, is unemployment because it's seasonal work. He's approximately 20 to 21 years old. Good looking, as far as I know, to her advantage, because I'm not sure what would consider men being good looking. But she was very attractive. He'll be an Aries. So I told her that she'll call me and she'll request me to do a reading on the person that she thinks it might be, who she's interested in and she has some affection for. Sure enough, 10 days later, the gentleman gets a request to dance from her, and they hit it off. She calls me up the exact same day, and she says, "Can you come in?" And I wasn't doing anything, and I said yes. And so then I did the reading on the gentleman, and I told him the key points, that it was him, and he's going to be doing masonry work. It's bricklaying, so he's going to have a boy and 2 girls. She's going to be pregnant by the middle of summer, probably July or August or September, and that they would get married on Valentine's Day of next year, and that he would start his own business a year following, and they would move in together. He had a 1-bedroom apartment, then he would move to a 2-bedroom apartment, and then he would get his business started, and he would buy a 4-bedroom house. So I did all this, and a year later, about 7 to 8 months later, approximately 6, I know exactly when it was. It was either September, I think it was September, or October, close to what I said. She was pregnant. I told her it would be a girl. She got in contact with me, and then they were going to have a wedding. They were engaged, and she stopped dancing for him, and she were going to get married on Halloween, like I said they were. Now, I don't know if telling them that would make them do that, but that's what happened. It was a small wedding. I attended. It was really nice. She was showing a little bit. And a couple months after Valentine's Day, she had her baby. And So I kept in contact with them for about a year or 2 years until they got the house and second baby, and then the 3rd baby was on the way. Now about 2 years have passed by this time, 2 or 3 years. So she had a baby right when she was married almost, and then she had a second one a year later, and then the 3rd one about 2 years later. So about 3 years, 4 years I kept in contact with her. Now at this time, I was concerned about myself and hearing voices and seeing things and talking to ghosts and spirits and all kinds of stuff. So I committed myself in a psychiatric ward. And I spent about 3 or 4 years there. And the end result was they deemed me sane with a little bit of a manic depressant and delusional and stuff like that. But they let me go, and I continued on my way. One thing they did say to me near the end is if we got rid of your voices and your visions and everything, you were born with them. That might drive you crazy. And so we weren't able to get rid of nothing. And the reason for this was also my relationships. I knew everything that was going to happen before it happened, so it kind of sucked a little bit. But I kind of worked with it, and I understood it. So, well, 3 or 4 years I'm out of the psych ward. And I was driving down the road. A male angel got into my car. They're very rare. And he's like, "I need you to go by this building." And I said, "Okay." And I asked why. And he says, "Well, there's someone that you need to see." And I said, "Okay." I thought it was a person. But I drove by the building, and all of a sudden, the person popped in. It was the same gentleman that I did the reading for that got married on Valentine's Day. And at this particular time, it was another about 2 weeks before Valentine's or something like that. And 7 or 8 years have passed since this. And so I said to him, I said, what happened? You're a ghost. He goes, I know. I fell off a scaffolding and I died. It was an accident. There was nobody to blame. But I need you to get a hold of my wife. And I said, what for? He wasn't divulging this information. Now the angel beside me says, I'll find his wife and we'll do this all together. So there's 3 entities. There's me, the angel, and the ghost, which is him. And so I drove with the angel and he went to a massage parlor. And this is where she was working. He was very upset, the spirit was, like the guy that was married to her. And I said to him, I said, well, did you expect her to go back to a parlor? Expect her to go back to a dance parlor, like a dance place, after having 3 children? And how is she supposed to make a living? You're not there. She has a house and mortgage, everything. And he understood. So I went into the place, and she saw me and she recognized me immediately and says, where have I been and everything. I told her I was in the psych ward for 3 or 4 years. She told me he died and it was an accident. I said, yeah, he's right beside me. And she says, like, really? And I said, yes. And so I said, you guys are going to have to talk. Now, because I'm an Aries and I can leave my body, astral plane and all that kind of stuff, and he's an Aries, and he can piggyback onto me, because usually ghosts cannot leave the place where they passed away. They usually have to stay there, bound there. They can sometimes move on their own if they have special abilities, but he didn't have that many special abilities other than his masonry profession. Okay, so we're in the room. I had to pay $40 because the ghost doesn't have money and the angel doesn't have money, so I did that. And we get in the room and he's going to take over my body. So the angel is like, listen, I don't want him to live in my body forever. You understand this is a one-time thing? And they all said, yeah. So I said, okay. So he takes over my body. Now, I can see, feel, touch everything that he's doing, but I have no control over my body. He has control over my body. So they make love. Well, me too, I guess. And it was very enjoyable and all that kind of stuff. And he's telling her, on Valentine's Day is when he died, actually. He said, I was going to come home and I bought a life insurance policy for you and the kids and me. And it's $1 million policy. But at that time, the cell phones were the size of bricks. Computers were the size of a refrigerator. Everything was done through paperwork. So she had to have the documents in order for this to happen. So it's about maybe really close to Valentine's Day again. And the policy was written for her on that day. So it would expire in a couple of years. So we're there just in the nick of time. And the policy is in the couch. And she still had the couch and everything. And he was going to show it to her that day and surprise her. So she went home, she found the policy, she called the place where the insurance was, because I'm not going to say names. And sure enough, they honored it. And she called me up and she goes, yes, they're honoring it, I'm on time, everything is good. Her mother was living with her as well to try to help with finances. Now this is $1 million policy and it's honored. Now they wanted to meet one more time, so it's the day after Valentine's Day. And they met, and this is the first time I've ever seen this. The communication, again, with me, this time there was no sex. And they kissed a little bit. That was about it. And he says to her, your life is going to be fine. There's enough money for the kids, there's enough money for you, and life will be good. And he cried through me, she cried, and they hugged a little bit, and then he got out of my body, and I said, okay, what next? And then the angel was with us too. He goes, she's going to go into the light. And it's the first time I've ever seen the light. She did not notice it or see the light, but I did. And there's a big, bright light, like the sun is there. And he walked into it happily. And that's my story for Valentine's. It's a true story. It happened to me. And I guess that's it. Thank you. Birdy signing off.